Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indian Debating League. Today we have for you a very interesting conversation. A conversation that will inspire the young hearts of India. And in this conversation, I bring to you two teams from India who will represent our country in the World's University Debating Championship for the most important title in the world of debating. And ladies and gentlemen, these teams hail from two astute universities, two universities whose names you all already know. One of them being IIT Bombay, and the other one being VIT. Getting them on the stage right now, we have our champions. They're already champions because they're participating in the World Championship right now. And we'll go through their thoughts, we'll go through their journeys and just see where they're headed to. They all fly out in about 2 to 3 days. And to get their thoughts right now is, let's say, the best time to know what's going on in their minds. To introduce them, first we have Mahor Nagra. Mahor has been a debater since the first day he walked into IIT Bombay. And this debate will be his 45th debate tournament. He's been a 3-time Asian breaking speaker and the runner-up at both of India's largest debate competitions, from Nalsar to IIT Bombay. And very funnily, what's the best idea of a team? A team which, let's say, has synergy, right? They have something in common. And the funny part is, his teammate from IIT Bombay, Harsith, has pretty much the exact same achievement because they've been a team for so long, right? So they're going into this as formidable individuals, knowing their capabilities, knowing each other's strengths, knowing each other in the way of how they prepare. And perhaps that's the best way one can walk into such a debate tournament. Next, we have VIT. From VIT, we have Manasija, who has been the quarterfinalist in the Australian Championship, Campbell Town. He's been the Malaysia UADC octo finalist, top 25 speakers, and also won the Open Champion Best Speaker Award at the Nalsar Invitational 2022, which, as we've heard, is one of India's biggest debate tournaments. And then we have Avyay Das, who has been the IIT Bombay Debate 2023 Open Grand Finalist and the Nalsar 2022 semi-finalist, alongside being the double octo finalist at the Malaysia UADC 2022. Bring your hands together for them, ladies and gentlemen, virtually so, right? Both of these teams have worked really hard to be over here. And first and foremost, before I get their thoughts in, just congratulations on your journey so far, guys, right? So could you all just introduce yourself apart from these achievements that I've said, starting with IIT Bombay?
Mahor.
Yeah, hi. So I think debate-wise, that pretty much summarizes my journey, what I've done as a personal debating. Apart from debating, I like to do a couple of other things. Like I like to speed solve cubes in my free time to relieve stress. And other than that, I'm studying engineering, so not much of a life apart from that. So these are a couple of things that I do in my free time.
That's perfect. I mean, problem solving, engineering, debating all goes hand in hand. And Harsith?
Yeah, we don't get a lot of time in college, but I had the student media body in IIT Bombay. So journalism is something that's a bit of a passion for mine. Apart from that, I'm interested in doing public policy and things like that. Hopefully, you can do more of that. But yeah, debate is like the most interesting thing I do in my life. So
that's perfect. I think we all are sitting over here as nerds who like talking, perhaps. And then we have the VIT team. Avyay, take it away.
Yeah, I like outside of debate. I don't really do much nowadays, but I'm into, once again, like policy and technical research. And alongside that, I also play a bunch of instruments because I think music is kind of fun to get involved in.
That's perfect. Entertainment, debate, music, again, go hand in hand. And Manasija?
Yeah, so I debate a lot. I too much for my own liking, but then again, I watch a lot of movies. I am pretty much a Bollywood nerd. I can pretty much talk about every single thing about Bollywood. I like to travel a lot. So yeah, exploring food options, exploring travel. Yeah, that's pretty much what I am.
That's perfect as well. Hey, so we have two very interesting teams over here, right? The first one being from the engineering side, the journalism side, and the other one being somewhat of an entertainer, right? They like music, they like Bollywood, but both of them like debating, of course. Okay, I want to get your initial thoughts on this debate itself. Like, what are your thoughts going into this debate? What are the first things which come into your mind? And what is one word perhaps you would describe the debate in, if that's even possible? Again, Avyay, take it away.
So, I mean, it's just engaging, I guess. And it's a lot of like, continuous thinking and just continuous engagement involved. I just like that about debate in general. So that's why, yeah, that's like my description of it.
That makes sense. And Harshit?
For me, debate's all about the adrenaline that you get when you compete with so many teams. It's such a stressful situation. At the same time, you just need to push yourself really hard. But yeah, the competitive spirit in debating is something that pulls me to the activity every single time, which is why I've been doing it for like such a long time now, from school and college and all of it. So yeah.
Nothing beats the trophies that you get from debates, I guess. The shiny debate trophies, the ego, the fragile male ego that we need to boost of our own. And then we have Mahor.
Yeah, I think if I were to give one answer, it would be pretty much similar to Harshit because I think we have discussed this a lot and we debate for the same reasons. But apart from that, I would say that the overall culture and atmosphere of going in and out every weekend and having similar kind of people. Like if you go to tournaments in India, you'll have the same crop of these few teams that are really like good friends with each other and like very, very competitive, fiercely competitive in the rounds, but off the rounds like very friendly with each other and stuff. So that's a lot of fun to see that teams can be at each other's throats, literally badgering each other in the middle of rounds and then be completely friendly 5 minutes after that. That's a lot of fun to see. So yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we learned that after once in a while with the sword to our necks that, hey, they're the brothers at the end of the day. And then Manasija, what about you?
I think for me, two things. One is critical thinking, and I think fun as well. More than the trophies, I think I have always liked to care about like helping people more. Like I really, really care about what my juniors do. I think Avyay is one year junior to me, and his like more than my success. I think what matters to me is that how much I can train other people and everything. Because I just think that it's a great activity to have, and how much ever I can embark that journey for people is something which I really care about. And also, like as Mahor said, like you meet the same number of people, you have fun with them. More than like winning rounds, I think it matters what you do after the round, and you're like probably bantering with each other, but at the same time we're having fun. So yeah, that's pretty much what I think debating is for me.
I mean, right after hearing that, I believe there's an S missing in the middle of your name, to be honest, with the initials, because that's an MSD answer pretty much. That's what Mahendra Singh Dhoni would say in any of his interviews about, yeah, it's a process, we need to, let's say, build the team, so on and so forth. So absolutely, I quite like that idea. Now, let's go to the most serious questions, right? Because I want to know, personally, I debate, forget the interview, what are y'all doing to prepare for this World Championship? How are y'all going into this, making sure that y'all don't leave any stone unturned, right? So, starting with IIT Bombay, give us some of those little secret sauce tips that y'all have.
I mean, if I can start. So we have been lucky enough to have, so Hadar is last year's world's best speaker. And I think she's also associated with Ideal as a trainer and things like that. She gives a lot of her free time to, judge our practices, to help coach us and things like that. So for us, largely just trying to understand that style of debating, which is very different from what Mahor and I were initially used to, is very strategy heavy. It makes you think very critically about things and not just read a lot and go and give a speech about it. So I think it's learning those aspects. And one thing is getting our mental game right, making sure that we go through 9 rounds without being tired, without like taking losses in case that happens, in the right mindset, and just powering through those rounds in the best possible way. So I think those are two things that are very crucial for our prep. More you can.
I think I agree with both of those. And like just to add on, I think the biggest factor of prepper, like whenever we have had seasons of doing well in the past, is when we have been a little regular at it. So I think a very important factor of prep is maintaining some amount of regularity and having some discipline associated with it. And a lot of times in the past, when we have, let's say, lacked discipline for a few months at a stretch, then our debate performance accordingly has slumped. And let's say the results show very clearly. So it's like a very, like you can say, athletic, competitively driven sport where you need to be at it, otherwise your performance will drop. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very well said statement over that. The debate is like a sport, right? Because the mind is a muscle to some extent. You have to keep, let's say, working it in that way to let it function the right way. Achha, before we go on to the VIT team, I just have another question which came to my mind. What is your any personal ritual as well? Because I believe as a team, of course, all are preparing together. But personally, when you all sit down and just do something by yourselves, do you all have personal rituals? Anything you all particularly do which is different from the other?
I mean, not aware. I don't remember anything as a team. Like I sometimes listen to some rap before I walk in a round if I'm very stressed.
Yeah.
But it's largely that we spend time with our friends before rounds to calm ourselves down, and that works with me. Or do we do anything?
I don't think we have any ritual as a team. Like we've been a lot of times just debating casually, not really
Yeah,
competitively and stuff for a lot of the part of our debate trajectory so far. So we didn't really put so much pressure on us to have a ritual. And I'm also like I am heavily non-superstitious for some reason. So I really don't care about rituals personally. So yeah.
That makes sense. Absolutely, that makes sense. And going towards the VIT team, Avyay, what's your preparation like in your team camp? And Manasija?
Yeah, I mean, I think like what Harshit said makes the most sense because after a level, I mean, you can go and be better, but you can't just be better within like a 3 month period or 4 month period. So what you probably train on is like uh, how much stamina you can build up. How can you last through these 9 rounds? Because more than anything, it's just a mental game at that point. Like, just staying on your toes and like taking a loss and still bouncing back. So training for that, and as like Mahor said too, like, just constantly being in and around debate is really quite helpful. Yeah, I think that's quite like how we've been approaching this prep. Manasija, you
Understood.
can add on.
Yeah, I think what pretty much Avyay said, like we already know our strengths. Like Avyay and I have been debating for 2-3 months, but we did debate every weekend. So I think we just know what we are good at. So refining those, we just know what we aren't good at, and we know that that's not something which we can fix in last 1 month. So my focus has been just mental. As you said, you talked about personal rituals. I'm like making a playlist for last 3 days of what I will listen to before every single round to charge myself up. Like that has been more of my prep. Like looking at what I can eat in Vietnam more than anything else. Just keep myself always positive to make sure that I always like I'm doing great mentally. So that's what my prep is looking like. Yeah.
That makes sense. And again, just going around the table once more, I just want to know, is there any one debater in the world right now who you all really look up to and want to be like? Like, what is your role model? Because I'm pretty sure younger debaters of India look at you all and say, we want to be there, we want to represent India in the biggest tournament of them all. But who is your role model? Starting with Avyay again. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like I've been pivoting around roles since the start of my debate career. Like I've been going everywhere, but nowadays I've like solidified as a first speaker and a whip. And a large part of like my preparation to be a decent whip has been watching like a bunch of videos of Tejas Subramaniam. He was an old Indian schools debater. And I just think his structure is, and the way he just like makes his speech is just really good. So that's one person I really look up to.
Perfect. And Manasja?
Yeah, so I think I have two answers. My international debater who I've always looked up to is a person called Hamza Tariq Chaudhry. The reason is really simple. I think he doesn't have an extremely fancy accent. I don't think his speeches are extremely stylish, but what he does well is knowing stuff and proving it very strategically. And that is something I've always related to. I was never born with like the most fanciest English. I don't use the most fanciest words, but I try to make it fun and like get aggressive at times, and that's what I relate to most. My second answer is someone who is very old in the Indian debate circuit. He's won in Nalsar in 2016. His name is Abhilak Sharma. He's a VIT senior for us, and he has been a role model for the longest period of time. That was the first debate video I ever watched, and he has been talking to me before this World's run as well, and he's really has been a really motivating factor. So yeah, I think I have two role models. That's what I would say.
Makes absolute sense. And Mahor?
So I think my answer is similar to Manasija, where I have one international role model and one since the start of when I started debating. So I had a debate senior who broke a few Indian records and like was really helpful in my first year to me. His name is Jamal Lodha. And like when I did my first tournament back in the day online, he won that tournament, won best speaker in the tournament, won finals best speaker in the tournament, and like he absolutely dominated it. And being a fresher in my first tournament, seeing someone do that who's just 2 years senior to me, that was really motivational, and he always helped me a lot. And he's always been my role model with respect to the pedestal I want to reach at debating. And otherwise, I think that this part goes without saying that the person I look up to in the international debate circuit is, I mean, my debate coach Hadar, because she is one of the world's strongest speakers right now, and she gives really solid, very technical speeches. And I think that I identify myself as more of a technical speaker than a natural, let's say, mechanisms kind of speaker. So I identify with her speeches quite well, and thus like listening to her speeches, she's a role model for me, although we speak different speaker roles. So yeah, those would be my two people I look up to in debating.
That makes sense. And Harsith?
For me, it's a little more emotional. So like Jamal and Tejas, they were wonderful friends and amazing role models who like they were just there. And I teamed up with Tejas in school when we debated, and he's always been one of the reasons why I wanted to push myself and do better. Jamal's the same thing. He's been a senior who's been like a wonderful friend and always supported me through a lot of things. But in terms of my actual role model, I would say it's my first coach in school. He was also an IIT Bombay alumni. His name is Karan. He's currently studying in MIT. And so he was one of the first coaches I had in school. And he was probably one of the reasons why I chose to come to IIT Bombay also. And he broke the World University's record for Indian performance in 2017 when they made the quarterfinals. And, it would just be really poetic if we're able to like replicate that run in some way or the other. So for me, it's like a very emotional thing that way.
I'm looking forward to a finals where both teams from this interview are there, because it raises my stocks also, right? Regardless, going forward to the next question. I mean, firstly, this is a good time for all the debaters watching this and anybody watching this to realize how important it is to have strong role models, right? Because this really shapes the way you think or want to be like. This is your North Star, more or less. Moving swiftly on, I also want to know what your expectations are to some extent. With Harsith giving us that little outro to that question with, I hope we replicate it and, we're thinking they should go further than that. I want to know what your honest expectations are and certain things you think you should look out for in such a debate tournament. Let's go with Mahor first.
So I think there are two things. One is that our goals are set the same. I think Harshit's outro describes what we wanted to do, because it's something that we've been told from generation to generation. This is the India record. This is the India record. This is the India record. So it as ambitious and optimistic as it sounds, it feels really good if we can push that record or stuff like that. And second, I would say is that, however, when this is a goal, we have consciously made efforts to not go ahead and keep checkpoints during Worlds. It's a 9-round competition with multiple out rounds and a lot of days of debating. So if we keep checkpoints with respect to we want to be on these many points at the end of day one, these many points at the end of day two, that mental pressure can get to us. So we have an end goal of where we want to reach, but we don't want to fix a process or a way in which we want to reach it, because honestly speaking, the way in which people do well at Worlds in 9 rounds is very random, and you can do well in the middle, you can do well in the start, you can do well later. So we're keeping that pretty dynamic, but the end goal clear. So that's our expectations when we go to Vietnam.
That makes sense. So the pressure cooker is really on the lower side right now. And Harsith, do you want to add to that, or is that like the same comment for you as well?
Just one more thing. So Mahor has an amazing way of managing my pressure, because he always tells me like, the point is to go out there, give our best, have a lot of fun, and we go out with glory, even if this is like the last tournament that we're doing. And I think just telling myself that helps a lot, because with all of this pressure, if at the same time I'm reminded of why exactly we started doing this activity and how much fun we have doing it, it just makes the experience so much better. So yeah, that's the other thing I would just add.
I mean, just to add, I'm assuming you listen to Eminem, considering you hear rap, and over there he has, you've got one shot in the Lose Yourself song, and this is exactly what's going on, right? So, poetic, right? Bollywood moments somewhere here and there. And yes, VIT, what about you all? Anybody can take this forward, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's quite simple. More than the debate, it's just about getting some level of engagement and enjoyment out of this. So like, it's still our first offline majors tournament that we're doing outside of India. It's still going to be it's probably going to be the last for both of us too. So, expectations in terms of debates are very unpredictable. You can never tell, and you don't want to like set yourself to something and not live up to it. So we'll see where that goes. But at the very least, I just want to have like 9 rounds of fun.
That makes absolute sense to me. And Manasija, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, so I just have decided with myself that I will not keep expectations. It has never worked like the way, like Australs, I didn't have an expectation. I broke the Indian record. UADC 2023, I had an expectation. I got knocked out quite early. So expectations has just not worked for me. I think I have delegated that responsibility to Avyay so that I can just only focus on that one round and just not think about anything else. Because I do think that and I think I do have a tendency to get really tensed really quickly. A goal would just make it much, much worse, is what I feel about this. Obviously, like as Mahor and Harshit said, the record is always there in mind. And beyond that record, the fact that nobody in India has reached like a semi-finals or a finals has always been there. But I don't want to think about it yet. Maybe we can have this conversation on January 4th or a 3rd, but not, not right now.
That makes sense, absolute sense. And one other thing which I've realized even while talking, and I think I would have known this before as well, but talking to you all makes me realize this even more, how everybody has a very different approach to expectations. Some look at it as, let's say, hit the target, motivation, so on and so forth, and the others are just like, keep that away from me. That doesn't work. That's not going to work. One debate, one topic. Here's where we go. And one of my last serious questions, honestly, right, is going to be, is there any particular topic you're expecting or wanting to, let's say, for it to rise up during the debate tournament? Any theme particularly? And let's go with Manas first. Manasija.
Yeah, give us anything artificial intelligence related. I mean, Avyay doesn't talk about it, but he has 20 research papers written on it. So yeah, so I'm pretty sure like whoever comes up against us on artificial intelligence, we will have some arguments and we will have fun to the very least. At least we'll say something really interesting, and that's what I'm excited about. So yeah.
Okay, with Avyay GPT installed into the system, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Preparation.
And Avyay, any particular theme or is that AI?
Anything related to tech. I think tech is severely underdone. And I think the biggest issue is just that people expect tech or engineers to know econ in debates, but no one expects econ or people outside of tech to know tech to the same degree. But I think like tech has some really good and fascinating debates in it. So anything related to tech, I'll be more than happy.
Understood. So perfect. I think that's where they're going with this. And the IIT Bombay team, what about you all?
I mean, I personally love anything related to climate change, climate finance, and topics like that. I think they're very exciting. I think they have a lot of implications going into the future and something I personally like reading. Topics that I'm not so much a fan of, I think Mahor will tell you about why he likes those topics so much, why he's so good at it.
Yeah, I think that he described it well. We are very complementary in terms of the topics that we are good at, which honestly helps a lot in prep. So things like things where, let's say, relationships motions or motions about a narrative being conveyed, people acting on it, and all of those things, which are not necessarily hard, concrete impact type motions. I think I have sort of developed a niche to become good at those, and Harshit's developed a niche to become good at the other kind of motions. So I think the only sort of chink in our armor is the motion that we're both not good at, which is stuff like feminism motions, because they need heavy context and theory to be good at them. And I think we just aren't well read enough on those motions. So apart from that, I think at least one of us is good at the motion. So we're not too worried about motion themes. We have other things we need to work on.
That makes absolute sense to me, and I understand exactly why we don't have context to a lot of these topics that are mentioned right now. And moving swiftly on, now, you all already know this. I said this to you all before the interview ever started, which was a lot of the young debaters are going to watch this maybe 1 year down the line, maybe 2 years, 3 years down the line. And this is something which they will watch perhaps twice or thrice to understand where their mindset is supposed to be. And my question to you is, what are the top tips which you would recommend to them going into such a world championship or just going into any debate tournament? Let's keep it extremely simple, right? any debate tournament, top 3 tips. Mahor has already done this right before. He's already gone through don't debate in a vacuum, that doesn't work. But I think we're going to have to go through, let's say, some other tip this time from Mahor's end. But yes, Avyay, let's go with it.
I mean, I guess like the tips that we give are based on like what we have like as issues, right? So I think my biggest issue is sometimes like I'm really bad at Indian politics. I know it's kind of weird, but I'm just really, really bad at it. So like if that showed up, and I showed up a couple of times in some tournaments I used to go to, I kind of froze, and I just like let my teammate do all the work in a situation where if I just like let go of the mental block that I had and just put in some basic thinking, we could have probably done better. So the idea is just, don't have like notions of what you're really good at or notions of what you're really bad at. Just stick to the fundamentals and you should be good, because nothing can change on the day or sway too much.
That makes sense. Yeah. And Manasija?
So my first tip would be like, I like this extremely simple quote, right? It says that you miss all the shots which you don't take. And I think it really applies to everyone who is doing worlds right now and everything else, right? So I know it's scary. I know doing a majors is scary. I know doing an Ulsar or any sort of like major tournaments is scary, but do it because you don't know what is going to happen. Even if you are not confident about breaking, even if you're not confident about winning, you should take the chance because you don't get the chance again. And you will regret it once you don't take that chance and everybody else does. So I think you should be taking as many chances as you can in debating. The second thing is like it's okay if you, and it's important to remember that debating, even if it's a sport, it's an extremely subjective activity, right? So like there is more objectivity in sports like cricket or a football because there are goals which you can score and the score line says 1-0. But there are judges which you will buy different things at every single time and you don't know if you align with what they want to buy or not. So remembering that the idea itself of debating is subjective because it's a game based on persuasion, and persuasion depends upon the person who is listening to it, is something really important because it always reminds you that it's okay to take a loss. You were just not persuasive enough for the person who was judging you. It's not like you were bad at it. So never lose hope is I would say, because this is an activity which you can only get good at. And thirdly, just have fun. Really, like it's just fun to speak for 7 minutes. It's just fun to express yourself, and that skill just goes a long way in your life. Like you will be able to crack any sort of interview. The amount of times you'll be able to lie and convince people that your lies are truths because you debated enough is just so many instances. Like there's so many auxiliary skills you can take out of debating. So just have fun, I would say. Like will be my 3 tips.
Yeah, Manasija, I would recommend not saying that only because I have a lot of my friends who are going to watch this perhaps, and they'll realize a lot of the things I've told them are perhaps not holding as much water as they once thought, right? So, yeah, let's cut that out. Moving swiftly on. Yeah, any message from the IIT Bombay team?
Mahor.
Yeah. So I think that with respect to things that people should look out for in debating, obviously everyone tries in the experiments, it comes there. But then the reason why a lot of people give up on it or quit or things like that is that it's not, to see success in debating is not really simple and doesn't come really fast. This is something that a senior has told me that makes a lot of sense to me, is that your growth in debating happens in like a step function. Like you're flattened out for a while and then you get this sudden improvement where you become better. And I think one of the biggest things to say to an upcoming debater would be that you have to have a bit of patience, adding to what Manasija said about how the activity can be stressful. You need to have a bit of patience when you're in that stagnation period and when, let's say, you feel like you're not improving, but you actually are. And it's just that one competition where you'll do significantly better is when you'll realize that you have improved over all of that period. So I would say that looking at it with respect to a positive mentality and just going out there enjoying and loving the fact that you can speak for 7 minutes on literally anything given 15 minutes of prep and are able to mentally engage yourself and challenge yourself so much, which is the thing that not too many people can do. You should enjoy that and feel proud about yourself for that and keep going at it.
Absolutely. And Harsith?
Yeah, I think there are 2 things that I think are very, very crucial for debating. One of it is not talked about as much, and it's about team dynamics, right? It's a team activity. It's often a team of 2 people or 3 people. And I have personally just teamed up with very few people when I debated in school and in college. And I've noticed that you need to be willing to learn from your partner. You need to have that kind of trust where if your partner says in depth that, look, this is something that I can do well and I know and let me do it, or this is something that I think you should be doing in your speech when you are confused, I think the best thing that you can do is have a partner that you can rely on and trust, because that's just going to be an explosive combination. And I think that's very crucial for this activity. The second thing is taking feedback. So one thing that has helped me for a very long time is just having this mindset that when I take a loss, when something goes wrong, it means there's always something that I can improve on. And the judges are the ones who can teach me this. My coach is somebody who can teach me this. A senior I trust as a mentor can teach me this. So having that kind of a growth mindset is really, really useful. And the last thing I would say is what Manasija also said, but if my girlfriend sees this video, she's going to be really, really mad because she can tell exactly when I'm using debate arguments to get away with shit. So, but yeah, these are basically whatever I want to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I just want to focus on the team dynamics part. I think that's really important because, I'd gone to the Yale World Invitationals in 2022 and I blamed it all on my partner, but I was Iron Manning, so it wasn't that big of a deal later on. We didn't particularly fight over little nuances. Either way, now just to wrap this interview up, I think I'm going to ask the most important question of them all, right? This is the question that will make or break this interview. This is what gets you to the finals of World's University Debating Championship. Are you all ready? Let's go for it. If you all had to summarize your personal debating careers all the way up to the World University Debating Championship in one song, which song would that be? I'm going to give you all a minute to think about this because I know this is a very important question. I know how much songs mean to you guys, right? Yes, go through your playlist. This is perfect, right? Go through your playlist. See, this is the prep time, guys. Everybody watching this is the preparation time. This is what world debaters do when they're asked to choose between Kamala Harris and Taylor Swift. It's a big decision, right? And they have to shake it off. Yes.
I do have my song, so I think it's a pretty easy answer for me. It's a song from Gully Boy. The song is called Apna Time Aayega. And the reason why I relate a lot to that song, because one, I think rap is almost like debating, like my words will make an impact. So I think that's an important idea. But I think most importantly, a lot of times in debating, I think Mahor talked about this, right? So the curve in debating is extremely random. It's a spit function kind of a thing, and you don't know when your time will come. But the fact that you keep on believing that the time will come is really important. And this is something which I really envision. Like when you feel like everything is going to shit and you're not breaking and you're not qualifying for rounds, you're losing in quarters, and you really, really don't have hope. And then one day it just happens. You win an answer or you win a comp which you really want to. And that's when you realize, okay, shit, like my time has arrived now. Now I am someone who is probably good at debating. So that's a great feeling. So I think that's a song I really look up to.
On that note, I need to take a sip. Hold on. My Jesus Christ. All right. So time RI is what I realized, right? Time RI. Okay. Do we have any other songs ready for the disco beats?
I mean, one song that I don't know, this doesn't have as much meaning as Manasija just said, but it's just something that always pumps me up before rounds. It's Sing for the Moment by Eminem. I absolutely love that song. And when the chorus comes, I'm just imagine myself on that final stage, just walking up to give that speech. It's going to feel really, really nice. I absolutely love stages, and that song makes me feel really nice about it. So, yeah.
The more I go through this interview, the more I feel I can really vibe with you guys apart from this interview as well. Because I love these songs that you all are mentioning, and I think that's all that matters, right? One thing which is not debatable is songs matter in friendships. Okay, yes. Anybody else who's gotten the song ready? Perhaps Avyay or Mohor, whoever wants to take it forward.
I think I have two songs. One is a one that I used to pump up myself in rounds and stuff like Harshith said. I think I like to put stereo sound noise cancellation on good earphones and just listen to Bad Guy by Billie Eilish. It's a really, really badass song which makes you pumped and feels like you want to go ahead, go there and be aggressive and give your best shot, which is sort of my motivation, my style in debating. I'm a aggressive speaker and I'm very aggressive on the field. So yeah, that is one. And I think another song would be it's a song called Eye of the Tiger. It's an 80s rock song by an artist called Survivor. It's basically about like pushing yourself to achieve how much ever you can, like being as fiercely competitive as possible and things like that. So yeah, I think that song relates with my journey of debating well, because I've always been really passionate about the competitiveness of the activity. So yeah.
That's perfect. I mean, just thinking about the fact that you're a technical debater, so you view debating from the bird's eye view, but then you're listening to Eye of the Tiger downstairs before the debate goes. I think there's too much of an eye going on, and we should really go forward from that. And yes, Avyay?
For me, like the simple psychology that I've always had is that I will probably leave debate the day I don't feel that it's giving me some sense of happiness. And I think the reason it's relevant is because I started like doing debate not too like competitively, but back in like ninth grade in school. So back then I really liked this artist called American Authors, and they have these two songs. One is Hit It and one is Best Day of My Life. So both of those songs are things I closely associate with debate. So when I think of debate and I can't envision those songs, that's probably the day I'm going to leave debate. And until I do, I'll probably stay.
A lot of respect for that answer. He's thought his debating career through pretty much over there. And with that, I should share my song, which I believe tops everybody else, respectfully. Dinka chaka, dinka chaka. There's nothing about that. Okay. There's nothing about that. The kind of meaning that song has, too good. Okay. With that, I want to thank all of you all for such a lovely interview. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the interview for the ages. And I really look forward to having a conversation with you all perhaps again after the World Championships. I wish you all the absolute best, right? If I can sneak in some points to you guys, if my points even matter during the debate, right? I would definitely do that. Don't contact authorities, don't contact equity. It's fine, right? With that, thank you so much. And we'll meet you all next time.
Thank you so much, Pranay. It was nice.
Thank you so much. This was lovely. Yeah.
Bye-bye.